One man, one mission, to rid the world of chronic anxiety once and for all. The Anxiety Guy, Dennis Simsek, shares his personal transformation from living a life filled with overwhelming worry to becoming a full-fledged positivity machine, a leading authority in generalized anxiety. Dennis gets to the truth of your mental health challenges and sets you on a path to transforming each and every area of your life. Here he is, the one and only, the Anxiety Guy.
Warrior, welcome to episode number 295. You're listening to the Anxiety Guy podcast. I'm Dennis Simsek, and I'm grateful to connect with you here today to help you, to guide you, to show you the path towards freedom. Let's do this. Today, we're discussing the power of outside thinking. Before we do, I want to share some exciting news with you. My newest book, my third book, is coming out very, very soon on Amazon. Beyond Anxiety, What to Expect on Your Path Towards Freedom. I can't wait for you to read this book. Updates will be shared on our new Facebook page, our support group on Facebook, and on Instagram at The Anxiety Guy. So make sure that you follow one of those. And I cannot wait to get your feedback from this very important read going forward. Today, we're going to discuss the power of outside thinking. Outside thinking, to give you a description, is kind of like sitting in a movie theater and watching an idea, a thought on a movie screen, but not being the screen itself. Can you imagine if this was the daily occurrence in your life? How different would your life be if you didn't attach to every single catastrophic idea that arises? I know some of you are going, oh, that would be so nice. But remember, hope doesn't get us very far. So let's leave that world and let's do the work starting today. There is power in outside thinking because we feel detached from thinking. The moment we have an idea, we start to look at it from the outside, not the inside, and therefore we create distance from that idea. We no longer identify with that idea. We no longer believe in that idea. We don't get emotional because of that idea. Can you imagine the power that lies within outside thinking? Oh, there's another idea. I have the choice. I can either follow this idea and create other stories based around this idea, or I can see it as an idea. That's where the power lies. And there's so much of this that you can learn from Stoicism today. In fact, Stoic practices. I highly recommend Seneca's books. The problem isn't the intrusive thought. It's the psychological and physiological snowball that occurs because of the intrusive thought. Many people come to me and say, Dennis, my thoughts are driving me crazy. Well, first of all, you're not thinking. You're replaying the same ideas daily. Number two, it's not the thought itself, but it's where the thought is bringing you psychologically and physiologically. That's the problem. If the thought was left alone, if the thought didn't have any power and oomph behind it, there would be no feelings, there would be no emotions, there would be no actions that support the idea. So it's not the thought that bothers us. It's what occurs because of the thought. A screaming child that's left alone eventually stops screaming. It gets tired and it goes to bed. The more often we leave the screaming child alone, the faster they will realize that the attention is not coming, and the faster they will stop screaming. What's our goal with outside thinking? To see the idea or feeling as an experience, an opinion, not as truth. Just by opening up your mind and opening up your heart today, that's good enough for me. For you to consider that you no longer have to give power, attention, focus, and energy to any key word, any idea. You start to sit in a chair across the idea and look at it. If you want to examine it, examine it. But you're creating distance between you and an idea. Here are some very, very powerful ways that you can begin tapping into the power of outside thinking. I want you to think to yourself, I'm having a thought. What happens when we say, I'm having a thought? Many times we don't group those thoughts with feelings and emotions anymore. I'm just having a thought. When you go on a roller coaster, it lasts, 2 minutes. You have an experience of being on a roller coaster. You are not the roller coaster itself. You have the experience of being on a roller coaster. I'm having a thought. Another way is reminding yourself that this is not valid and will not hold up unless I add to it through other stories that I tell myself. It's the stories that turn an idea into a belief. It's the stories that are the problems. Finally, I want you to tell yourself that I'm having the experience of having a thought about X. I'm having the experience of having a thought about X. Notice that we're creating distance between you and an idea that you don't want to give much attention and power to anymore. Our goal is detachment. Detachment. People get divorced in this day and age. And in the beginning, there's discomfort, which is going to be the same thing. Going from inside thinking to outside thinking, discomfort will be there. Many times you're going to find yourself falling for the trap during the day. That's fine. That's okay. It's just like a divorce. In time, when you begin practicing turning your attention elsewhere, you are detaching from that old person. You don't have to become your thought. Remember that. You don't have to become your thought. Your job, step 1, is to catch the thought. I'm having the experience of having an idea. Step 1, catch the thought. It's an experience. Step 2, separate from them by recognizing where it comes from and why it's there. It's that inner child. That inner child that is looking to preserve old beliefs, and based on protection purposes, bless that inner child within. Thank you for all your protection. Thank you for your unconditional love. But let me tell you something. Inner child, this world is safer than you deem it is. It is. Reality isn't the way that you believe it is. In fact, whatever happened to us when we were growing up, we can learn from. We can move forward from, and let me show you how to do that right now. Step 2 is always recognizing that it's the inner child and its unconditional love and its desire to preserve old beliefs and its protection that is the issue here. Step 3 is allow the thought to subside naturally, not forcefully over time. Many people say, I just can't get this thought out of my head because you're fighting too much to get rid of it. Many times when we do too much, it backfires. We need to recognize where the balance lies. So, the next time you have an idea and you feel like you're inside thinking, you're becoming the idea, you're adding to the idea through stories and action, you need to remind yourself that the power of outside thinking is also available to you. I'm not going to let this go very easily, so I'm going to remind you again. Remember, I'm having a thought. This is not valid and won't hold up unless I add to it through other stories that I tell myself, and I'm having the experience of having a thought about. The power of outside thinking. Tremendous power. Tremendous power. Put it to practice right now. Be open to it and allow it to guide you to the next step on that ladder. You're here for a reason. You were meant to listen to this. I want you to fiddle with this idea of outside thinking. And I want you to listen to this podcast a few times to truly understand the power that lies within it. I've given you 3 steps that I need you to apply starting today, because if you do, your life will change. And isn't that why you're here? Remember that you are more than anxiety. Are you enjoying this podcast? If so, please give it a positive rate and review, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye-bye.
Thanks for being an important part of the Anxiety Guy podcast community. If you enjoyed this podcast, please leave a positive rate and review. If you're searching for further support on your road to recovery from anxiety, head over to anxietyexit.com and take part in the powerful End the Anxiety program based around the CBT model. If you're searching for a more one-on-one approach, you can sign up now for personal coaching sessions with Dennis via Skype. Remember, you are more than anxiety. See you in the next episode.